Good morning students. In the last class we did see how we can draw squares, right? Now today in this class we will studying about rectangles. How we shall construct rectangles. There are several methods for constructing rectangles. We shall see it one by one. Okay. Before that, in the square, we did see the peculiarities of a square, right? Now, what are the peculiarities of a rectangle? Rectangle, if this is a rectangle A, B, C and D. Okay? The opposite sides of the rectangle are equal. So we can write AB equal to DC, AB equal to BC. Opposite sides are equal and opposite sides are parallel to. Okay? And then what about the diagonals? These diagonals, that is BB is equal to AC. The diagonals are equal and they bisect each other, right? The diagonals bisect each other. Then what? All the angles, all these angles are what? They are right angles. They are measure of 90 degree. Okay. So these are the properties of a rectangle. What are the properties? Opposite sides are equal, opposite sides are parallel, the diagonals are equal, the diagonals bisect each other and the angles are 90 degrees. Okay, so these are the properties of a rectangle. Now we shall see how we shall construct rectangles. In the last class we did see how to construct a square. Okay. Before that, give me some examples of rectangles. What are the things that you can see around which is of rectangle shape? Yes, television. Television is an example of a rectangle, right? So, suppose that the length of this rectangle is 8 centimeter and the breadth is what? 5 centimeter. Okay. So now if you are given the measures of the sides, if this is 5, this is also 5 centimeter. If this is 8 centimeter, then this will be also 8 centimeter, right? Let us name it as A, B, C and D. If AB is equal to 8 centimeter, then DC will be also 8 centimeter because the opposite sides are equal, and if AB is equal to 5 centimeter, DC will be also equal to 5 centimeter because opposite sides are equal. Okay. Now if you are given the measure of the size of rectangle, you know how to construct it, right? How will you construct this rectangle? It's simple. First, what will you draw? First you will draw a line. We shall name it as AB. Or what will the length of this line be? 8 centimeter. First you draw a line of 8 centimeter and name it as AB. Okay? Now, place your protractor over here. Measure 90 degrees. Mark 90 degrees. And draw a line. Okay? Why we did take AR 90 degrees? Because we know that the angles over here, the angles of the rectangles are what? 90 degrees. So we will measure here 90 degrees. And what? We know that the breadth of this rectangle is what? 5 centimeter. So take 5 centimeter in the compass. Place the compass over here and mark 5 centimeter on the line. Name this point as D. Now join all points. How shall you draw? Now similarly we took 90 degree over here. We shall take 90 degrees at the point B also. Mark the 5 centimeter and join these 2 points. What shall we get? We shall get the rectangle. Okay. So now you know, right, how to draw a rectangle if the measurements of measurements of the sides of a rectangle are given. Okay. This is a simple way, but this is not the way that we have to learn today. We are going to see some different methods how to draw rectangle. Okay. Now the first method we'll be seeing that if you're given if you're giving the length of the diagonal, how we shall draw a rectangle. That okay. Rectangles of different length and breadths can be drawn with the same length for the diagonal. What? We can draw rectangles of different length and breadth with the same length of the diagonals. Okay. So we know the diagonals of a rectangle bisect each other. Right? Diagonals of a rectangle, they bisect each other, but it's not necessary that they are perpendicular bisectors, but it's not necessary that they should bisect at 90 degrees. If you have one diagonal, so any line through the midpoint of the diagonal can be taken as the second diagonal, right? Suppose we have one diagonal, okay, and this is the midpoint of this diagonal. Any line through this point will be the another diagonal, right? That is what I have said. If we have one diagonal, so any line through the midpoint of this diagonal can be taken as a second diagonal. Okay, so first what should I do? First we shall draw a diagonal of 6 centimeter length. What should I do? We shall draw a diagonal of what? 6 centimeter. Okay. Now mark the midpoint of this line. Okay. Then what? Then we shall take a measure for the angle. It's not said that the diagonals bisect each other perpendicularly, right? It's not said that. So we can take any measure of angle between the diagonals. Okay. So take here as 30 degrees. Okay. I'm taking over here as 30 degrees. For that, first I shall place a protractor over here, mark 30 degree, and what? I shall draw a line through this midpoint of this diagonal. Okay. Okay. I have drawn what? I have drawn a line through the midpoint of the first diagonal that I have drawn, which is of 6 centimeter, and the angle I have taken between the diagonals is what? 30 degree. Now what? What will be the length of this side? How much it will be? 3 centimeter, right? Because this is the midpoint. And the total length of this line is 6 centimeter. So what will be the half of this line? 3 centimeter. So I shall take 3 centimeter. Just what you should do is take the measurement of this length, this line, and mark it over here and here. Okay. Using the compass, you can just rotate it over here and here. Okay. And mark the points. This one only mark. And then what? Join these points. you will get what? You will get the rectangle of diagonal what? 6 centimeter. Okay. So this is how we draw a rectangle if the measure of the diagonal is given. Okay. First of all, before drawing a proper figure, first you have to draw a rough figure. Okay. Whereas given the diagonals of 6 centimeter, what shall we do? Let's draw a diagonal for 6 centimeter. Mark the midpoint of it. Okay. Then what you should do? Then take a measure of degree, angle measure. Okay. Whatever it be. Suppose it is 30 degree, and draw a line out through the midpoint of it. Now what? Measure this length of the first diagonal. This is the diagonal 1. Okay. This is diagonal 2. Measure this length. Cut the measure over on the second diagonals. Okay. Then what? Join these. So what? So you will get a rectangle. Okay. And so that is how you draw a rectangle if the measure of the length of the diagonal is given. Now here we took it as 30 degree. Okay. Now let us see if we can draw a diagonal of what? 6 centimeters. We shall mark the midpoint. What is the midpoint? It will be 3 centimeters. It's because it's 6 centimeters. I am marking it simply. Okay. Let's say this is what? 3 centimeters. Now what? Instead of 30 degree, I shall take it as 40 degrees. Okay. And I drew a line through the 40 degrees through the midpoint of the first diagonal. Placing the protractor over here, you shall mark the 45 degrees. Okay. No, 40 degrees. Here I shall take it as 40 degrees. Now what? Join these. And what you will get? You will get a rectangle. Okay. So, if only the diagonal is given, the length of the diagonal is given, you can draw many rectangles. Okay. Yeah, what shall you do? You shall change the angle between the diagonals, because it's not given that they are not perpendicular. We shall take any measure between the diagonals, and you can draw many rectangles. As the degree between them changes, the length and breadth of the diagonal will also be changing. Okay, that is what I said. If we have one diagonal, so any line through the midpoint of the diagonal can be drawn, and the rectangles will be of what? Different length and breadth. Okay, that is what I have said. Now we can draw rectangles or specific diagonals by drawing circles also. Okay, in rectangles which are not squares, the diagonals are not perpendicular to each other. So we can draw rectangles using any pair of diameters. Okay. So you know what? We are going to draw what? Rectangles in circles. Okay. We shall take the diagonal of the rectangle as 6 centimeter itself. Okay. So what is the measure of the diagonal? 6 centimeters. Okay. Now what? Draw a line of 6 centimeters. Before that, we shall draw a rough figure so that you will be able to understand it. Okay. What shall we do? We shall draw a rectangle inside a circle. Okay. Suppose this is the rectangle. Then we are going to draw inside the circle. Then the diagonal of this rectangle is given as what? 6 centimeter. This diagonal of this rectangle is what? It is the diameter of the circle. We shall take this diagonal as the diameter of the circle. Then we can easily draw what? A rectangle in the circle, and we will be touching the points on the circle. Otherwise it will be very difficult to draw. Okay. So what we shall we do first? For easiness, we shall first draw a circle of 6 centimeter. What is the diameter? It will be 6 centimeter. Okay, this is the point, center point of the circle. Now what? Draw a straight line. What will be it? It will be the diagonal of the rectangle. Okay. Now take a 30-degree measure over here. The first case we took. Okay. Now what? Draw a line through that 30-degree since it passes through the midpoint of the first diagonal and it touches the other point on the circle. Okay. Now just draw these points. What have you got? I've got a rectangle inside a circle. It's simple, right? This is how you draw a rectangle inside a circle. Now, let us see what if you are able to draw a rectangle in the circle with the diagonal is 6 centimeter itself. But here we will be taking another angle of measure between the diagonals. Here we took it as 30-degree, right? Now we shall take it as 40-degree. Okay. So this is a circle of what? Diameter is 6 centimeter. Okay. So diameter is 6 centimeter. This was the center of the circle. Okay. Diameter is what? Diameter is 6 centimeter. Now we shall take what? 40 degrees. 40 degrees measure between the diagonals. If this is a 40 degree, we shall draw a straight line so that passes the 40 degrees, pass through the midpoint of the first diagonal and join the point of the circle. Now what? Join these points. What do we get? We get a rectangle inside the circle. Okay. This is how we shall draw a rectangle if the measure of the diagonal is given, and we shall draw rectangles inside the square, inside the circle if the measurement of the diagonal is given. Okay. Now we shall see another method to draw a rectangle. Okay. Now we shall see if a question is given like this. Draw a rectangle of diagonal 5.5 centimeter and the angle between the diagonals is 40 degrees. Okay. Suppose this is a question. Now in the before case, it was the diagonal of the length of the diagonal was 6 centimeters. So it was very easy for you to take the midpoint, right? Half of 6, you will get it as 3 centimeter. But over here it is not so simple. Okay. So first we shall draw what? We shall draw a diagonal of 5.5 centimeter. Either way you can draw, okay? Since the diagonal is lying, we shall take it like this. 5.5 centimeter, okay? Now how will you take the midpoint of this line? Take your compass, make a length more than half. Suppose take this, it's clear, right? Because this is more than half of this line. So take a length more than half of this line. Mark a point over here. Now place the compass over on this B and mark a point over here and here. Now join these. Okay, join these points. Okay, so this will be the midpoint. Of this diagonal. Now what shall we do? This is the midpoint of the diagonal. Now what we need? We need to take the angle between diagonals is what? 40 degrees. So taking this as a midpoint, mark 40 degrees. This is a 40 degree mark, 40 degrees. Draw a line like this. Okay, now take this measure, mark over here, mark over here. Okay, join this. We shall erase these lines that was used to take the midpoint of the first diagonal. Now join these points. You shall get a rectangle of diagonal 5.5 centimeter and the angle between the diagonals 40 degrees. Okay. You shall use this method even the measure of the diagonal is given as 6 centimeter. It is easy for you to take it as to find the half of the 6 centimeter and take it as 3 centimeter to find the midpoint of the first diagonal. But it will always be accurate if you take it as using the compass to mark the arcs below and down of the diagonals. Make two marks over above and below the diagonal and then just join to get the midpoint of the first diagonal. Okay, now placing the protractor on this midpoint, mark 40 degrees, which was given. Okay, the angle between the diagonals mark 40 degrees. Draw a line through the 40 degrees such that it passes to the midpoint of the first diagonal. Okay, now what? Take the length of the first diagonal from the midpoint. From the midpoint to the end of the line, take this measure on the compass, mark it on the second diagonals and then join all those points. Okay, this is how you draw a rectangle if the diagonal is given and the angle between the diagonals is also given. Okay, now we shall see another method to draw a diagonal. The diagonal of the rectangle will be given and also one side of the rectangle will be given. Okay, suppose that the diagonal is 6 centimeter and the length of one side is 5 centimeter. Okay, so what we'll do first, we shall draw one of its side as 5 centimeter. This shall be the breadth or length, we don't know. Anyways, we are drawing it as like this. AB, we shall take it as 5 centimeter. Now, take any angle of measure. Okay, take any measure of the angle. Suppose it has 50 degrees. Okay, 50 degrees. Join this. Okay, join this. Now what we need, a diagonal, length of the diagonal is what? Length of the diagonal is 6 centimeter. Okay, diagonal is 6 centimeter. Let's suppose this is 6 centimeter. We shall mark this point C. This is 6 centimeter. Now what? Join this side this point to this point. Okay, now we have got a portion of the rectangle. Okay, Now this angle is what? The whole angle will be 90 degrees, right? So place a protractor over here. Mark, take 90 degrees. Suppose this is 90 degree. Draw a straight line through that 90 degree from the point C. Okay. If this is 5 centimeter, what should be this? This also should be a 5 centimeter because these are the opposite sides. So take 5 centimeter, mark this point as D. Now join the point B and A. Okay. This will be the rectangle that you will get. What if the diagonal and the diagonal and side of the rectangle is given. Okay, this is how you draw it. Now you got the idea, right? How to draw the rectangles. If what are the cases that you studied? If the diagonal is given and the length of the side also given, you can draw a rectangle. Then what? You can draw a rectangle if the length of the diagonal is given. Now you can also draw a rectangle in a circle if the length of the diagonal is given. Okay. So these are the three ways that you can draw a rectangle. Okay. Now I shall give you a homework. Just see whether you are able to do it. Okay. The first homework is draw a rectangle of diagonal 8 centimeter. Okay. Draw a rectangle of diagonal 8 centimeter. Now another question is draw a rectangle of one of its side. That is one of its side. It can be length, it can be breadth. Okay. The one of its side is of 5 centimeter and the length of the diagonal is 3 centimeter. Okay. Sorry, length of the diagonal is 8 centimeter. Okay. Just see whether you are able to do it. Okay. So thank you. We shall see in the next class.